The Jon Jones coward controversy. It all begins when fans accused him of ducking Tom Aspinall, especially after Jones pulled out of his UFC 295 fight against Stipe Miocic due to injury. Aspinall then stepped up, knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, and became interim champ, leading fans to claim Jon was scared of facing younger, faster competition. Some suggested Jones strategically chose to retire after fighting Stipe to avoid dangerous matchups like Aspinall. Jon fired back on social media, denying fear and calling Aspinall not in his era. The UFC never officially scheduled Jones versus Aspinall, adding fuel to speculation. Critics argue that if Jones truly wanted legacy, he'd unify with the interim champ. Daniel Cormier cheating. Daniel Cormier's weigh-in before UFC 210 became one of the most talked about moments in MMA history. While attempting to make weight for his title defense against Anthony Rumble Johnson, Cormier initially missed the 205-pound limit by 1.2 pounds. Just 2 minutes later, he stepped on the scale again and somehow made the exact weight. Video footage revealed that Cormier was pressing down on the towel held in front of him, a trick often referred to as towelgate, which can artificially offset body weight on the scale. Although the commission allowed the weight, fans and fighters accused Cormier of cheating, and the incident remains a controversial chapter in his career. James Krause, betting scandal. James Krause's name shook the UFC when allegations of illegal betting surfaced. A suspicious betting pattern emerged during Derek Minner's fight, which Krause's camp was connected to. It was believed that inside information about Minner's injury had been leaked to gamblers, leading to irregular bets on the fight's outcome. As the scandal gained attention, the UFC took immediate action, banning all fighters who trained under Krause from competing until the investigation concluded. Sportsbooks also blacklisted fights involving his fighters. This betting scandal drew regulatory attention from commissions and even law enforcement, marking one of the most damaging integrity crises in UFC history. Krause, once seen as a rising coach, had his career derailed and reputation permanently stained. Anderson Silva, cheating. Anderson Silva, widely regarded as a striking genius, faced accusations of cheating during his dominant reign. Several opponents and analysts pointed out that Silva would grab shorts or the cage to prevent takedowns, something that clearly gave him an unfair advantage. One of the most discussed examples was in his fight against Chael Sonnen, where Silva's cage-grabbing tactics prevented critical takedowns that could have changed the fight's momentum. While Silva's skills and legacy remain intact, these moments of controversy are often cited when discussing his career. Conor McGregor is a master of self-promotion, but his antics outside the octagon have sparked major controversies. The most infamous moment came during UFC 223 fight week when McGregor attacked a bus carrying fighters, throwing a dolly through the window and injuring Michael Chiesa and Ray Borg. He was arrested and charged for the incident, creating headlines worldwide. Another moment of chaos came after UFC 229, where McGregor's defeat to Khabib Nurmagomedov was followed by an all-out brawl between both camps. McGregor's legal issues, including assaults and confrontations, have kept him in the headlines almost as much as his fights. Brock Lesnar's UFC 200 scandal, steroid. When WWE star Brock Lesnar returned to the UFC at UFC 200 to fight Mark Hunt, it was a blockbuster event. However, the celebration didn't last long. Lesnar tested positive for clomiphene, a banned substance, just days after the fight. His victory over Hunt was overturned to a no contest, and Hunt went on to file lawsuits against Lesnar, the UFC, and Dana White for allowing what he called a juiced-up fighter to compete. This incident cast a shadow over Lesnar's short UFC comeback. Nick Diaz and marijuana bans. Weed. Nick Diaz, a cult hero in the UFC, has faced multiple suspensions over marijuana use, with the most infamous case coming after UFC 183. Diaz tested positive for marijuana metabolites and was initially given a staggering 5-year suspension and fined $165,000. This punishment sparked outrage across the MMA community, with fighters and fans calling it excessive compared to performance-enhancing drug violations. The public backlash forced the Nevada State Athletic Commission to reduce his suspension, but the incident remains one of the most controversial bans in UFC history. T.J. Dillashaw, EPO, drugs. Former bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw was suspended for 2 years after testing positive for EPO, a powerful endurance-enhancing drug. Unlike many fighters who deny wrongdoing, Dillashaw admitted to using the substance, shocking fans who admired his work ethic and cardio. This scandal severely damaged his reputation, and while he returned to competition, the shadow of EPO still lingers over his career.